Toad is supposed to be funny tonight, or at least light, which means that some of mine won't be my usual ones because they tend to sometimes be quite not so funny. So I might have to resort to collaboration with my dog, who has a better sense of humour. But we'll start off without him. Well, we have a very silly one to start with. This comes from UK authors, it's not so recent now, very useful weekly challenge to write a poem about some particular word, which has a sort of addictive quality to it. And whoever gets a judge to have won it 1 week sets the word for the next week, and you're stuck with that for a week. And one of them was whip, W-H-I-P. And not being into sadomasochism, I couldn't think of anything, so I resorted to asking the dog's help. It's called The Whippet's Tail. Some dogs have furry tails that curl above their rears. The Pekingese has one that reaches to its ears. Some have only little stumps which are always wildly busy. They wag and wag so very fast it makes one feel quite dizzy. Some have feather dusters, lovely as they leap, that can clear a coffee table in just one swift sweep. Some have tails so long they can wrap them round their heads. Bulldogs, having next to none, wag their bums instead. Others' tails are elegant, designed foremost for beauty. Their tails are like their noses, positively snooty. Now I am a kind and friendly dog. I use my tail to show it. For if you're pleased to see someone, you really ought to show it. Sorry, they really ought to know it. Misprint. My tail, it isn't furry, but it's long and strong and like a whip, and when I'm pleased to see folk around their legs it flips. I greet them with enthusiasm, but alas, they tend to wail, my legs, you silly dog, and please control your tail. Blame that one on UK authors, or whoever set that challenge. Another one was paper. This is true, I do have an addiction to paper. In France they write on squared paper, in the schools I suppose, and sell it in the supermarket. Pencils and paper in all shapes and sizes are my secret vice, so I could not resist, when shopping for wine, stocking up on some samples to add to my store, which increased exponentially, filled every drawer. Now I can't afford to go abroad, so maybe I can use more sheets of paper and reduce the hoard. And another one from the same source. The word was ink, and it happened to come when I had spent a week struggling with my printer, which was insisting on printing first of all only in red and then in nothing, although it claimed to be full of ink. And it used very expensive ink that doesn't run and fade, which I felt as I print my own books was a bit necessary, because I have a friend who says, well, people don't read them in the bath. But how do you know? So I was very frustrated, and I bought another printer and it didn't work. And then somebody put ink on the challenge. So this is called Ink is a Sore Point. I need to clear the clutter on my desk, and now the bloody printer's on the blink. A grammar sheet, I also teach languages, sorry. A grammar sheet with crucial points in red. They all come out as lemon or pale pink. I go through the rigmarole of clicking buttons to change the ink and substitute a new magenta, although the old one seems not short of ink. I run head cleaning, try again, and now my lesson points are more lemon than pink. But black is there, distinct and clear. So eyeing all the clutter then, I think, there's those forms from publishers to print and sign. They'll be fine in just black ink. I press appropriate buttons and check the files, hear the printer making satisfactory clinks, and feel now at last one up. I turn my back and make myself a drink. But when I look again, the paper's white, and on the screen the legend, replace ink. I grab a pencil and decide I'm on the brink. We'll have to write a poem or see a shrink. And another one related to language teaching. when I have a working week, somebody comes and stays with me and subjects themselves to basically slave driving for a week on the subject of language. But I don't always relish it before it happens, although I always enjoy it when it does. It's called Language Teaching Blues. I have become unsociable. I do not want this person that I do not know filling my days, my hours. A timetabled week with no scribbling words or reading poems over morning marmalade, but daily practicalities. Is the bathroom clean? The guest room ready? Remember, you like linguistics, and you will get paid. 6 days of concentration, communication, love of language, and a shared task. At last the job is done. I smile and take the cheque, for which I quite forgot to ask. And then I think I can find one or two not too sensible in here. This one took place outside my study window, where I have contraptions hanging up full of nuts for tits and so on. But in the snow, winter before last, Robin turned up, and robins normally feed on the ground, and he was trying to be a tit very successfully. It's called Robin on a Learning Curve. Today in the snow that has cut me off from postman and the world, a robin came to feed and tried to emulate the tits who hang from one leg beside their nut-rich lunch, or suspend themselves inverted on the fat-filled shell that dangles from a branch. In pity for his plight, I fixed a tray into the tree with porridge oats and seeds, that he might dine in style and safety. Amid the swirling snow, a swirling cloud of birds descended on the tray, finches, tits and sparrows, delighted with the feast. News spreads fast in a bird's eye view when food is of the essence. And the robin, with frantic fluttering of wings and stabbing bill, he's still practising precarious acrobatics, a new apprentice to an awkward skill. This one is true. This one is to my neighbour. Well, it's about my neighbour, I suppose. I might add, I live in the middle of North Wales. Beware, says my neighbour, of Welshmen bearing gifts. His trailer stands outside my gate, precipitously full of fence posts past their sell-by date, but fine for fuel. While we unload the wood, our sheepdogs fraternise, sharing smells around the yard. Smells that Mott knows well, for several times a year he leaves his kennel by the farmyard fence and brings his bowl and takes up residence within my shed. That night before the fire I sit up late and contemplate the flames and think, even good fences make good neighbours. Old fences make good neighbours.